Level 1. The Grenade Kickers. This is not about the dribblers or the goal scorers. This is a homage to the passers, the ones who see things others don't, who have the ability to execute it with surgical precision. And it starts with two players who treated the ball like something that needed to leave their feet as fast as possible, because for completely different reasons, that's exactly what it was. Chris Smalling. 2 Premier League titles with Manchester United, over 300 appearances for the club, one of the most physically commanding centre-backs in English football for the better part of a decade. Dominant in the air, aggressive. On a good day, capable of stopping some of the most dangerous forwards in the world. Then football changed. High press, build from the back. The centre-back as the first passer in a possession-based system. The cognitive demands of the modern centre-back, reading a press, processing multiple passing lanes simultaneously, executing under time pressure, require a completely different skill set to the one Smalling had spent a decade perfecting. Smalling was handed this test and failed it so publicly that his own manager discussed it in an interview. Jose Mourinho, explaining why he set Manchester United up to play long balls in the Europa League final against Ajax, said the following: "I even joked with Smalling, with your feet, we're for sure not playing out from the back." Mourinho built a tactical plan around going direct, sitting deep, and winning without the ball. Ajax had 2/3 of possession and 17 shots. United had 6. Smalling headed down a corner for the second goal and lifted a European trophy. His manager had engineered a final specifically so his centre-backs never had to start building the attacks. Smalling won. The passing problem remained. Gennaro Gattuso is the other type, and in a strange way, the more interesting one. 2 Champions Leagues, a World Cup, 468 appearances for AC Milan. One of the most effective midfielders of his generation, and one of the weakest passers on this list. Gattuso didn't pass. Gattuso destroyed. He won the ball back in places other players had already abandoned, in duels other players had already lost, at a speed and intensity that made him essentially ungovernable in open play. His job, understood by everyone at Milan, including Gattuso himself, was to get the ball and give it to the right person. That's it. That was the entire contract. The passing was someone else's department, and unlike Smalling, that was a choice. A deliberate, career-defining identity that made him a serial winner at the highest level. 2 types of level 1. The player who had every other attribute the game demands and still couldn't pass when football finally asked him to. And the player who decided that was never going to be his problem and built one of the great careers around that decision. Level 2. The postman. The ball always finds the right man. Players who complete their passes, keep the chain moving, and never give it away cheaply. What they won't do is try anything difficult. James Milner, 17 seasons in the Premier League, 6 clubs, over 650 appearances, the model professional, and the cleanest example of a player who passed correctly, constantly, and almost never dangerously. Milner would find the free man. He would recycle possession. What he would not do is find a pass nobody else had seen, or deliver a ball that caught a defender off guard. Liverpool won a Champions League and a Premier League title with Milner in the squad. He completed the pass that kept the chain going. Somebody else found the pass that broke the line. That division of labour is not an accident. It is a tactical requirement, and Milner fulfilled it for 17 years at the highest level. Declan Rice. At West Ham, he was a destroyer in Gattuso's tradition and a ball carrier of genuine quality. The player who recovered the ball and either advanced or gave it to someone better equipped to use it. His passing stats were functional, safe, almost entirely sideways. Then he moved to Arsenal. Then something started to change. What changed wasn't his physical output. The pressing intensity, the recovery runs, the defensive work rate remained elite. What changed was his processing speed in possession. The time between receiving the ball and identifying the forward pass compressed. His key passes per game increased. His forward passing increased. His ability to find teammates between the lines, to play out from pressure in tight central areas, it developed, visibly, across 2 seasons. That is not a physical development. That is a cognitive one. He still sits at level 2, but the gap between where he started and where he is now is the most interesting movement on this entire list. Whether he's already crossed the line is a question the comment section can answer. Level 3, the final ball. This level isn't about range or vision in the abstract. It's about one specific moment, the pass that turns a chance into a goal, the assist. Every player here has made a career out of creating the most important moment. What separates them from the levels above is that it's largely the only pass they're truly elite at. Mesut Özil at his peak was the most precise final ball passer in European football. At Real Madrid in his 3 seasons there, he led La Liga in assists every single year. In the 2015-16 season at Arsenal, he produced 19 assists and 146 chances created. When Özil was engaged and the team was moving, the through ball was so perfectly weighted that the striker didn't have to adjust. The ball did the job for him. His spatial awareness and ability to process the positions of every player in his vicinity before the ball arrived operated at a level that made him almost impossible to replicate. The problem was sustaining that processing intensity across 90 minutes, week after week. That gap is why he sits here and not higher. Frank Lampard is here because at Chelsea, across 4 different managers and a decade of different systems, the goals and the final ball stayed constant. 177 Premier League goals from central midfield, the record for the position, but more relevant here, the pass into a striker's run that created the chance he'd end up finishing himself. He was not a regista. He did not control tempo or dictate rhythm. He found the final pass and then ran on to the return. That is a specific and extremely valuable skill. Level 3 is not a small thing. The final ball is genuinely rare. It's just that the best passers on this list do both that and several other things besides. Ángel Di Maria spent over a decade at the highest level in European and international football as the player whose job was to create the final moment. At Real Madrid, at PSG, and most definitively for Argentina, the pass before the goal, the cross that arrived exactly where it needed to, the run and chance creation that nobody else in the team could produce. Cesc Fabregas at 17 was playing through balls into runs that forwards had barely started making, in a physical Premier League without the system to protect him. At Barcelona under Guardiola, he adapted his entire game to one-touch passing in tight central areas, alongside Xavi and Iniesta. At Chelsea under Mourinho, the most pragmatic manager of his generation, he led the league in assists, playing long balls over the top to Diego Costa. On his debut for Chelsea, away at Burnley, he received the ball on the edge of the box, shaped to shoot, and played a one-touch through ball to Schürrle that the striker had to do nothing with. The pass did everything. It has since been voted Chelsea's greatest ever Premier League assist, and it came in the 21st minute of his first game in a blue shirt. A player who could reinvent his entire passing game 3 times over and still end up as the fastest to 100 Premier League assists in history. Level 4, the diagonal. 2 players, 1 idea. The pass that moves the defensive structure before it can react. Not by playing through it, but by shifting the entire shape of the game from one side to the other in a single touch. Paul Scholes. At Old Trafford for over 2 decades, in a system that understood exactly what he was and protected him accordingly. Deep enough to receive, with the time and the angle to deliver. His long diagonal from central midfield. The ball that switched play 50 yards onto a winger's chest before the winger had started his run. At a weight that meant it arrived when it was supposed to, and not a moment before, was something English football hadn't produced in that role before or since. The technique was specific. The body shape before delivery giving no indication of where it was going. the dip that floated it over the covering opposition fullback and out of reach. The accuracy over 60 yards that most players can't do from 30. The decision architecture behind that diagonal was specific too. The split-second calculation of the receiver's projected position. The weight calibrated not to where the winger was standing, but where his stride pattern would take him. Cognitive load at its highest, executed in under a second. He wasn't only a diagonal passer, there was more to his game than that. But the diagonal was the thing that put him on a different level to every midfielder around him. The fact that Scholes sits at level 4 on a list like this tells you more about what's coming than it does about him. Xabi Alonso. At Liverpool, the range was already there. 50-yard switches from deep, first-time balls from a half-turn, delivery from set pieces that no other midfielder in the Premier League was attempting. Then Real Madrid. Then Bayern Munich under Guardiola, who built an entire attacking structure around Alonso's ability to move the defensive shape with a single pass. Left, right, left again, until the gap appeared in the middle. The diagonal was the mechanism. Alonso was the one reading the opposition's defensive structure and deciding when to pull the trigger. Level 5, the specialist. David Beckham could deliver a cross from the right flank that a striker could run onto at full speed without breaking stride. And that cross would land within millimeters of where it needed to, every single time. Against Valladolid in September 2003, he picks up the ball on the right side of the pitch and plays a cross-field diagonal that Zidane meets on the half volley, left foot, far corner. 3 months later, he does something even more absurd. From close to the halfway line, with Ronaldo Nazario making a run the rest of the stadium hasn't spotted yet. He drops a 50-yard cross with the inside of the boot onto the Brazilian's foot in the Copa del Rey semi-final. Ronaldo volleys it first time. Ronaldo later said on camera, "Without looking at me, the ball would come." That is the Beckham gift described from the inside. His teams were built to give him the position and the angle, but that position wasn't always wide right. At Real Madrid, he operated centrally too, finding the diagonal from deeper areas. At AC Milan under Ancelotti, deployed as a central midfielder rather than a winger, the full range was even more visible. The switch of play from deep, the first-time ball into a forwards run. One player, with more tools in the shed than he's usually given credit for. Trent Alexander-Arnold is Beckham taken a position deeper and given an even wider delivery range. He broke the Premier League record for most assists by a defender in a single season with 12, then broke his own record. His crossfield pass from right back, the ball that switches play 50 yards and lands on a winger's instep already facing goal, is something his Liverpool team were built for. The corner against Barcelona in 2019 is the pass most people remember. Liverpool needing a fourth goal to win the tie, Alexander-Arnold takes the corner so quickly and precisely that Barcelona's entire back line is still walking into position. Origi scores. It was so unexpected that even his own teammates hadn't started their runs. That wasn't just delivery. That was reading a situation nobody else on the pitch had read and acting on it before they could. His left foot and defensive actions remain questionable. But that right foot, from anywhere on the field, is a different animal. Arda Güler is not quite the finished article yet, but this list records what the pass already is, not what the career becomes. At 21, playing for Real Madrid, his expected assists per 90 minutes places him in the top 1% of La Liga. In the Champions League round of 16 at the Etihad in March 2026, the passes that caught the eye weren't the obvious ones. They were the ankle passes, the inside of the boot ball slipped through a defensive line. The kind of passing that makes you rewind. What separates Güler from the other two players at this level is that his weapon isn't a delivery from a specific position or angle. It's awareness. The moment he receives the ball in a tight area, the decision is already made. Not which foot, not which direction, but which pass nobody else in the stadium has conceived yet. His processing speed in tight spaces is measurably shorter than the positional average for attacking midfielders at this level. Güler needs about half a yard of space and a moment of stillness. At 21, that is already here. Time will tell whether the level he reaches is this one or something higher. Bruno Fernandes is the most complicated player on this list. His pass completion rate is unremarkable. His decision-making under pressure is sometimes erratic. He will give the ball away in positions that make you question the entire plan. But his key pass numbers across his Manchester United career place him consistently among the Premier League's best creators from midfield. And the goals they generate are real. He also has the full range. The Rabona pass, the outside of the boot, the flick in tight spaces. Tricks that occasionally look like showing off until they arrive perfectly on a teammate's foot and you realize they were a calculated decision. The problem with Fernandes is that the brilliant pass and the terrible pass live in the same body. When he's right, the pass unlocks things. When he's wrong, it looks weird. Level 6. Both feet. Every player at level 5 has a weapon. The players at level 6 have two. Not a strong foot and a functional one. Two genuinely threatening feet, which means no safe angle to press from, no side to force them onto, no way to make the pass unavailable. Paul Pogba. Not just the Juventus version, the United version too, which the reputation of that squad often buries. At Manchester United, playing in a team with little structure and a striker in Zlatan Ibrahimovic who missed a significant number of the chances Pogba created, the passing was still there across the full vocabulary. In a France friendly against Cameroon in May 2016, Pogba drifts out to the right flank, shows a burst of footwork to create space, and delivers a curling cross. Giroud volleys it in. The next morning, multiple journalists independently described the delivery as Beckham-esque. A central midfielder from the right flank producing a cross that the best wide player of his generation would have been proud of. That is the range. At Euro 2020 against Germany, he receives the ball with three players around him before he plays an outside-of-the-boot pass across the pitch to Lucas Hernandez, making a run on the left. Hernandez crosses. Hummels turns it into his own net. That sequence starts with Pogba. It ends with a goal. That is what the pass does when it isn't just beautiful, but there is a genuine thought behind it. The two-footedness isn't purely technical. It doubles the cognitive burden on the defender. Every pressing angle carries a different risk calculation. Pressing Pogba from the left meant the right foot found the pass. Pressing from the right meant the left did. There was no correct answer. You could prepare for one Pogba. You couldn't prepare for both. Steven Gerrard. The objection is that Gerrard was a box-to-box midfielder, a leader, a goal scorer, not a passer. The counter: watch what he actually did with the ball. Pirlo said of him, he is an excellent passer of the ball, possesses an intelligent football brain, and has great vision. Frank Lampard, asked to name the hardest opponent he faced, Gerrard, without hesitation, because he'd deal with you defensively and then hurt you going forward. The diagonal was there. The through ball in tight central spaces was there. In the 2005 Champions League final, 3-0 down at halftime against AC Milan, Gerrard picks the ball up and plays the pass that starts the comeback, finding the space, delivering the ball, then arriving to head it in himself. Vision, delivery, and the run to finish what he started, all in one sequence. Two precise feet, no safe side, no way to limit his passing range. Level 7. The conductor. Every player on this list up to level 6 makes decisions with the ball. When the players at this level have possession, the game goes where they want it to go. Andrea Pirlo. Transfer Market lists his preferred foot as both. This is accurate in a way that almost no other player's profile is. He played 5 consecutive games during a knee injury using only his left foot. His right was unavailable, so he simply switched his entire passing game to the other side, and his teammates at Juventus didn't notice until he told them afterwards. That is what two-footed passing actually means. Not equally comfortable with both in training. Good enough with the weaker foot that professional players, watching him every week, couldn't detect the difference in a player that was injured. At AC Milan, he was the deep-lying playmaker. At Juventus, when deemed too old for Milan, he became the mechanism through which 4 consecutive Serie A titles were built. His pass accuracy across his career in Serie A was close to 90%, remarkable in itself. But what makes it mean something is that he was attempting passes nobody else in the squad was attempting. Neurologically, what Pirlo did is closer to muscle memory than decision-making. By the time the ball arrived, the pass was already selected. His visual processing of defensive shape happened before he received it, collapsing the time between stimulus and execution to something that appeared to everyone watching like he simply had more time than everyone else. The 2012 Euros. Italy reached the final, dismantling England and Germany along the way. In the quarter-final against England, Pirlo completed more passes in that match on his own than the entire England midfield combined. Roy Hodgson, England's manager that night, said afterwards, "The imperious Pirlo took the baton and much of the game took place at his sumptuous tempo." A national team manager describing his own team's elimination, leading with the opposition's passer. Kevin De Bruyne. The numbers are so large they become abstract, so stay with the specifics. The 2019-20 season. 20 assists, 136 chances created, a single-season record that has not been broken since Opta began tracking. Since joining Manchester City in 2015, he created close to 300 more chances than any other player in the Premier League, 827 total. The 2022 World Cup, with a broken nose and a fractured eye socket, 9 minutes against Morocco, still producing the only clear chance Belgium had. And then there is what he did to defences alongside Erling Haaland, a partnership so destructive it almost felt unfair to construct it. De Bruyne knew where Haaland was going before Haaland had started the run. One pass, timed to the fraction of a second, that turned the best striker on the planet into a certainty. That is what passing at this level actually does. It doesn't just find a teammate, it makes them unstoppable.
Luka Modric.
The numbers are excellent, but they do not explain what he actually does. Most players need a touch to set themselves before they pass. Modric doesn't. He scans the pitch, receives the ball, and plays it first time into space that closes within a second. The pass is already gone before the defender has decided where to stand. Against Chelsea in the Champions League quarter-final in 2022, Madrid are 4-3 down on aggregate. Modric comes on as a substitute. He receives the ball on the half-turn in a pocket of space between Chelsea's midfield and defensive backline and curls a pass with the outside of his right boot into Rodrigo's run at the far post. Rodrigo's first touch of the game. He tucks it away. The game goes to extra time. Madrid survive. They win the Champions League. Iker Casillas watched the pass and immediately posted on social media that it was the kind of delivery he wouldn't be able to produce himself, even with a year of trying. Lionel Messi. This list is specifically about the pass. His 2019-20 season led Europe in chances created and assists. Preparing for Messi's passing was considered an equally difficult part of facing Barcelona as the dribbling, because it arrived off any surface, at any angle. His own manager Guardiola described it simply. After 5 or 10 minutes, he has the map in his eyes and in his brain to know exactly where the space is. His decision-making metrics, the time between receiving the ball and executing the pass, consistently ranked among the fastest recorded at elite level, while simultaneously producing the highest accuracy figures. Speed and precision in passing normally trade off against each other. In Messi, they don't. The right foot was functional, occasionally dangerous, never the weapon. The left foot is a different conversation entirely. The most precise left foot in the history of the sport, not just in terms of accuracy, but in terms of everything that went into it. The weight of the pass calibrated to the exact speed of the receiver's run, so it arrived not where they were, but where they'd be, at the precise moment their stride allowed them to take it without breaking pace. The vision to see the pass before it existed. The timing to play it before the defender could react. Defenders studied him for 15 years. They knew what was coming. It made no difference. From the player who handed the ball to someone else the moment it arrived, to the four who played a different game to anyone else. If someone's on the wrong level, that's what the comment section is for. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.